In this lesson, we'll learn how to work with animation layers. Animation layering is an amazing tool because with it we can enhance our animations in no time at all. There's no need to go back and destroy any of our original keyframes. We'd simply add on top. Now, just to tell you a little bit more about this scene, for one, you may realize that you cannot navigate around, and that's because I'm working through a shot camera with a protection tag to keep the camera locked. The protection tag can be found underneath tags, Cinema 4D tags, protection. So if you like, you could always remove that or simply head over to cameras in the viewport and use the editor camera. Now, getting back into the lesson, what we're going to do is work with an animation layer to have the crate bounce a little bit higher on its initial bounce. Without animation layers, this would be more of a headache because look how many keyframes this animation is tied to. It's a lot of data. Even more so if we were to right click and head over to show F curves. Again, you could see the tedious effort we'd have to put in to have this crate bounce just a little bit higher. We'd have to clean all of this up and then have to go back and make our tweaks. So we'll see in no time at all we can have the result that we need. And just FYI, I've gone ahead and baked out this animation after I've made it dynamic. Alright, so closing out our timeline, we can now create our animation layer, and we have a few ways of doing that. One is from the Tags menu, Cinema 4D Tags. We can add a motion system. Doing it this way will not automatically add the object to that layer, but it's just a matter of selecting it and clicking an add button. No time at all, really. We could also do so from the animation menu. And notice we have two types of layers. We can work with a relative layer. This is your default layer. With it, we're able to add on top of our original animation. Now with the absolute layer, it's a way of kind of canceling out the effect of our default layer, almost working from scratch. So if you're working on any animation takes and you want to see how a different gesture might look, you can go ahead and work with the absolute layer. Let's go ahead and actually add it to the crate so we can see exactly what it does. Right now, as we scrub the animation, everything plays back just fine. However, if we were to go ahead and store a keyframe, let's go ahead and record one, just a position key. I'm on frame 42. You'll see that the positional movement is now blocked by that absolute layer. Another indication that you're working with an absolute layer is by looking at the icon right next to the layer itself. So again, this is what the absolute layer does. Now if we were to zero out this layer, what's going to happen is we're going to go back to the origin of the scene, not back to the result of our default layer, which we would with a relative layer. Alright, so with that said, you can animate normally on an absolute layer. So if we wanted to, we can go ahead and turn on auto key and offset this crate. Okay, so we're again working from scratch. And just FYI, if you would like to see the motion path tied to this, one way to do that is to show your summary path under tag properties. It's kind of like the motion path, only it's non-editable. Alright, but so we can continue with the lesson. I'll go ahead and get rid of this absolute layer. It's not going to help us in this case. So I'll simply choose delete. Now, to work with the relative layer, it's just a matter of choosing add. Let's go ahead and click that. Again, this is your default layer. So now, to get back to the lesson where we would like to have the crate bounce just a little bit higher, what we'll first want to do is go to the point where the crate falls initially, just before it bounces. On frame 26, I'll go ahead and set a 0 key. Let's go ahead and click set to 0. That's going to extract the key from the original layer. So now heading over to the high point in the animation on frame 40, we'll have the crate bounce just a bit higher, just translate it up. Alright, great. Now here's the problem. When the crate falls, it's not going to hit the floor. You can see the result from the animation path. Reason why is because we've made that offset on frame 40. So how are we going to bring it back to the floor? Well, to do so, it's just a matter of going to that frame where it should land, and again, applying a 0 key. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and play the animation back. Alright, it looks okay, but still not too natural. That's because of how the animation is interpolating on our position Y track. So to fix this, making sure the layer is active, we'll go ahead and right click and head over to Show F-Curves. At that point, I'll head over to the F-Curve menu, turn off Show All Tracks, and select the position Y. And now let's say we work with tools that we've already covered to get this done in no time at all. I'll select our start and end keys, and what we'll want is for that bounce to rise faster. We'll want it to hold for a little bit longer and then fall fast for wait. So for the start and end keys, what are we going to apply to have that effect happen? We could head over to the key menu, spline types, and choose 0 angle, 0 length. So now the crate will bounce faster. As far as the hold, it's just a matter of selecting this in-between key and dragging out its tangent. So now we'll have a believable hold and fall. Awesome. Let's say we go ahead and check out the animation now. So as we hit play, now that looks natural. Alright, great. So in no time at all, we're able to enhance the motion of this crate. No need to go back to all of those keyframes from the default layer. Let's go ahead and select the crate, head over back to our motion system tag. Let's go ahead and check out a few other settings we have. We can rename our layer, so with it selected, you can choose rename, which is a good idea to stay organized. And I'll just call this bounce 1 underscore 80J for adjustment. We choose OK. We can also mute and solo layers. Now, being that we're just working with one layer, solo is still going to show us the same result. If we're working with multiple layers, then we would see that change. But we could also mute the layer, of course, just to see how it looked before the change was made. Another cool thing is to use the weight of the layer to kind of do the same thing, to see the before and after, or to see how an in-between would look. For instance, let's say if, I'll go ahead and unmute the layer, let's say if we wanted to see how the bounce looked at 70%, we'd simply go to our layer parameter, type